Hello, this is Shadow from Water Bear Workshop, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to play Sinister. This video is meant to teach you the basics of gameplay quickly, so if you have any specific questions about the finer details, please take a look at the rulebook or check out our FAQ. In Sinister, you and your companions are attempting to exorcise a demon. You've trapped it in the room with you, and it'll remain trapped as long as the pentagram does not become fully corrupt. Unfortunately, you don't know who it's currently possessing, and it can hop from person to person. The goal of the team is to determine who the demon is currently possessing and exorcise them before the demon is able to corrupt the pentagram and escape. At any given point in the game, you may be categorized in one of three ways, and each have their own win condition. Innocent players are trying to exorcise the demon and keep the pentagram from being corrupted. If they're able to complete the ritual and exorcise the possessed player before the pentagram is fully corrupted, the innocent players win. The possessed player can win if they fully corrupt the pentagram. They need to be careful. They likely won't be the possessed player next round. So if they're unable to fully corrupt the pentagram, any work that they put into doing so will just make it easier for the next possessed player to win. They might also cause innocent players to suspect them. If the possessed player is exorcised, they lose. Sometimes it's better to just hide, particularly early in the game. Malevolent spirits were innocent players who were falsely exorcised. They were killed in the process and have only one goal: help the demon escape. They do not know who is currently possessed, but they also have no need to hide. If they're able to help the demon fully corrupt the pentagram, they win. If the possessed player is exorcised, they lose. Now that you know the win and lose conditions, let's set up the game. You'll start by laying the pentagram mat out within reach of all players. Next, you'll shuffle all the pentagram cards and deal 1 to each point of the pentagram. Make sure the corrupted side is down. You may place the leftover pentagram cards back in the box. They'll not be used for this game. Place the discard token on the discard track on the number that equals the number of players. Give a player reference songbook to each player. Shuffle the roll cards and deal 1 face-up to each player. You may place any leftovers back in the box as they'll not be used for this game. Place each player's boon token on the 0 boon space of the pentagram. These tokens correspond to each player's role and have a living side and a malevolent spirit side. Place them living side up. Finally, shuffle the item cards and place 1 at random face down under each pentagram card on the pentagram mat. Sinister is played over a number of rounds, and each round is broken up into 5 phases: the preparation phase, the ritual phase, the exorcism phase, boon phase, and cleanup phase. In the preparation phase, you will be setting up each round for play. For the following descriptions, keep in mind that in the first round there will be no malevolent spirits, and you have already placed the discard token on the discard track. While setting up each round, remember that some information will be public and some will be private. The public information will include the roll cards, location of boon tokens, location of discard token, items associated with each pentagram point, who is a malevolent spirit if there are any, and which pentagram points are corrupted if any are. Private knowledge, or knowledge that only you know, includes your soul card and any item cards in your hand. Information that no one should know at this stage includes the contents of any item piles, including the discard pile, and any soul cards that are not being used this round. In order to set up the round, start by dealing out 1 face-down soul card to each player. You will need to make sure that one of the soul cards dealt out is the possessed card. The easiest way to manage this is to set aside the possessed soul card and then combine it with a number of other soul cards equal to the number of players minus 1. Any extra soul cards can be set aside as they won't be used this round. You should wind up with a total number of soul cards equal to the number of players, including the possessed soul card. Next, shuffle those up and deal 1 to each player face down. Remember that these are private information. Also remember that any malevolent spirits are left out of this process. They have a permanent soul card already attached to them. The next thing you will do is deal out a number of item cards to each player. The number dealt is going to depend on the number of players in the game. For a 5 to 6 player game, you'll deal out 5 cards each. For a 7 to 8 player game, you'll deal out 4 cards each. Place the remaining item cards face down in the center discard pile of the pentagram. Lastly, place the discard token on the discard track equal to the number of players. Remember, for the first round, you've already done this. The ritual phase consists of player turns as they work to either protect or corrupt the pentagram, depending on their soul card and whether or not they are a malevolent spirit. They do this by drafting and placing cards strategically according to the items they depict. An important note here is that you can talk about what's in your hand and what actions you take, but you may not prove these things by showing any cards. You may also not say anything about your assigned soul card. During this phase, it is the goal of the possessed player and any malevolent spirits to corrupt all points on the pentagram. It is the goal of the innocent players to prevent this. We'll discuss this in more detail when we go over the exorcism. For now, take your actions with these goals in mind. For the first round, the first player is whoever last confessed their sins. Subsequent rounds start with the last player to have been possessed. On each player's turn, they select an item card from those dealt to them. These cards are secret. They may be discussed, but not shown. Once the player has selected the card, they may do one of 2 things. 1. They may tuck the card face down under any non-corrupted pentagram card or under any player's roll card, including their own. They may not place a card under a malevolent spirit's roll card or under a pentagram point that has been corrupted. You may, however, place this card anywhere in the stack. Your second option is to discard the card face down in the center discard pile. You'll then choose a pile from any point of the pentagram or from any player's roll card. You look through this pile and you must discard 1 card from that pile as well. Place the remainder back face down in any order. If this action is taken, you move the discard token 1 down on the discard track. If the token is already at the 0 space, you may not take this action. After an action is taken, the player will then place the remaining cards from their hand face down between themselves and the player to their left. If there's an available hand of cards to their right, which is passed to them from the player on their right, they may pick it up and look at it at this time. The first player will not have a pile to pick up, as none has been passed to them yet. It is important not to look at the pile passed to you until you pass your own. You may also not look at your old pile after you have passed it. Play continues until all of the cards are gone, meaning every player has taken 4 or 5 actions, depending on the number of players. The first step of the exorcism phase is to vote on who you believe is possessed and mark them for exorcism. Players can discuss and make their case by lying, accusing, and generally saying anything that they want with one exception. You may not discuss your own soul card. Sins are shameful. Treat them accordingly. You may gossip about the sins of others, but not about your own. At this stage, you also may not look through any card piles. You may, however, discuss things that you saw in them previously. When players are ready to vote, close your eyes, count to 3, and point at the player that you believe is possessed. If one player has more votes than anyone else, they are marked for exorcism. If there's a tie, vote again, with the tied players as the only options. Malevolent spirits may not vote in the original round of voting, but may participate in tiebreakers. Once a player is marked for exorcism, you must make sure that the pentagram mat is still intact. One at a time, take a look at the piles of item cards under each point of the pentagram mat. For each pile, the item represented on the associated pentagram card must outnumber the items on the 2 antithesis points, which are the 2 points on the opposite side of the pentagram. If the item does outnumber the antithesis items, this point remains uncorrupted. If the antithesis items match or exceed the associated item, this point becomes corrupted. Flip the pentagram card to the corrupted side. Repeat this process for each remaining point of the pentagram. If all 5 points are corrupted, the demon escapes. This means that the possessed player and all malevolent spirits win. If there is at least 1 non-corrupted point, the player who is marked for exorcism is exorcised. They reveal their soul card. If they were possessed, The innocent players win, having successfully exorcised the demon. If they were not possessed, the exorcised player becomes a malevolent spirit. They place their soul card face up on top of their roll card and flip their player token to the inverse side. They now play by some slightly different rules that we will go over soon. The boon phase consists of players revealing their soul cards and checking if they successfully met the resist conditions outlined in the psalm book. Each player who successfully resisted their sin will earn a boon. To indicate this, they will move their player token up one space on the boon track, which are the spaces on the pentagram marked with star symbols. The possessed player can earn 2 boons, one for surviving, and one if at least one pentagram point was corrupted this turn. Malevolent spirits will only earn boons on the turn that they were exorcised. After that, they no longer earn boons, but may still spend them. Now it is time to reset the pentagram points, and collect the extra item cards and soul cards. Start by removing all item cards from any corrupted pentagram points. Do not remove the pentagram card, as it's still important as a reference for its antithesis points. For each non-corrupted point, shuffle all the item cards that were under it, and put 2 of those shuffled cards back under the point face down at random. The current status of these points is now unknown. Remove the remaining items. All remaining items, including those in the discard pile, the extras from each pentagram point, and those under players' roll cards, are combined and reshuffled. They will be redistributed in the next preparation phase. Collect all soul cards from each player who is not a malevolent spirit. They will be combined with any unused soul cards and redistributed in the next preparation phase. Malevolent spirits are on the demon's team. Their only goal is to help the demon escape by corrupting the pentagram points. They're trying to sow chaos in any way that they can and interfere with the innocent players. However, they still won't be certain which player is possessed. You may no longer tuck items or have items tucked under your roll card. Due to this, you will also no longer count as a neighbor and will be skipped over when it comes to boon checks after the turn that you're exorcised. You may also no longer gain boons after the turn you're exorcised. You may, however, still spend boons. And lastly, you may no longer participate in voting, except in the case of a tiebreaker. You earn 1 boon for successfully resisting your sin in a given round. If you're possessed, you can earn up to 2 boons, 1 for not getting found by the other players, and 2 if at least one of the pentagram points is successfully corrupted during that round. Some important facts about boons are that you may save your boons to spend them in future rounds, and you may not combine your boons with other players for effects that cost more than a single boon. Malevolent spirits can't earn boons after the turn that they were exorcised, but they do keep and spend any boons that they earned prior to becoming a malevolent spirit. Boons may be spent at any time during the ritual phase, even when it's not your turn. You may spend as many as you choose. When you spend a boon, announce your intent to use a boon and state what you intend to use it on. Play will pause where it is until you've completed your action. Move your boon token along the pentagram boon spaces to the one indicating how many boons you have remaining. This is indicated by the number of star symbols. There are 2 benefits that you may spend your boons on. Paying 1 boon lets you increase the number of available discard actions by 1. So you will move the discard token up by 1 on the discard track, so another discard action may be taken. For 2 boons, you may look through the top 10 cards from the discard pile. Pick any item card from among them and place it into any pile you wish. You may not show any of the cards to other players, but you can say whatever you want about what you saw. And with that, you should know everything you need to know to start playing Sinister. If you have any additional questions, take a look at the rulebook or our FAQ for some more detailed descriptions. Don't forget to check out our website and follow us on socials to see our upcoming projects and events.